Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Psych Talk. Today I will talk about Hikikomori syndrome. So you might be wondering, what the heck is Hikikomori syndrome? So basically, I will call it a phenomenon that has gained attention over the past few decades, and it's a condition primarily observed in Japan, where individuals, often young adults, withdraw from society for an extended period, sometimes months or even years, um, and just stays in the room. That's all they do. So imagine a person who stays in the room, rarely leaving, and cutting off contacts with friends and family. And they might spend their days playing video games, watching TV, or just staring at the walls. It's like they've built a wall around themselves, and getting out or reconnecting with other people feels like impossible. I'm gonna give you an example um, of how it can look like. So, let's say um, we have a 20-year-old living in Tokyo, Japan, and after graduating high school, he struggles to find a job and feels overwhelmed by the pressure to succeed. And instead of facing the world, he retreats himself into a small room. Over time, he becomes more comfortable in this isolated place, and he even decorates it with posters and snacks. And his connections with his friends obviously are fading away. And let's say the parents try to reach out, but he often ignores their calls or yells at them to leave him alone. And the longer he stays inside, the more anxious he feels about stepping back into the world. And this is a classic case of Hikikomori, where withdrawal leads to anxiety, making it even harder to reconnect. But why does it develop? So there are a few factors. So societal pressure is one of them. In Japan, there is a strong emphasis on success and achievement, and this can create an immense pressure on young people to perform and leading to obviously feelings of inadequacy. Um, Also, it may develop because of mental health issues. Conditions like anxiety, depression, or even social phobia can contribute to a person withdrawing from the outside world. And also, it can develop for because of digital escape. So because we live in a tech-driven society, it is easier nowadays to retreat into a digital world and just stays inside a room for like days, just playing video games and Nintendo and PlayStation, whatever it is that you're into. And for some individuals, they find comfort in virtual connections rather than real world interactions. And Hikikomori is not really a new phenomenon. It started gaining attention around in Japan around 1980s. Um, but recently it's spread to other countries, including the US and some parts of Europe. And as the world becomes more interconnected digitally, the rates of Hikikomori seem to be increasing, especially among young adults. But in Japan, this Hikikomori quote unquote syndrome is increasing. People want to stay home, they don't want to go out, they don't want to have social interactions, and they just stay in the room forever, never leaving. And there are some steps, obviously, that can help this syndrome, such as reaching out. So the first step is to talk to someone you trust, whether it's a friend, family member, or mental health professional. And sometimes just expressing how you feel can be incredibly freeing. Set small goals. Instead of aiming to leave the house every day, start with tiny steps. Maybe it's just, opening the window or stepping outside for a few minutes. Limiting screen time can help too. So while it's very tempting to just, be in the digital world, especially if you're just home, try to limit screen time, engage in activities that encourage real life interactions, like joining a class or a community group, and obviously seeking professional help. Therapies such as cognitive behavior therapy can help because it addresses like fears and anxieties, and we can work towards reconnecting with the world. But yeah, this um, syndrome that started in Japan is very common. I mean, it's becoming very common in Japan. It's very interesting. And you might have heard it before, you might have not, but it's definitely of concern, especially because it's kind of starting to develop in other countries as well. So yeah, this is the end of the episode for the Hikikomori syndrome. I hope I pronounce it well. I don't think so, but thank you for listening.